Hello and welcome to this cinematic edition of Encore. Coming up, the red carpet's been rolled up, the stars have packed up the super yachts and jumped on their jets. Yes, the Cannes Film Festival is over for another year. We take a look at some of our highlights. Plus, despite saying goodbye to Cannes, he's still got to say hello to the jury prize. Veteran filmmaker Jean-Luc Godard didn't turn up to the festival, but his movie Goodbye to Language is turning up on cinema screens here in France. And honouring unsung heroes, Franco-Algerian director Rachid Bouchareb pays homage to those who fought for France as the centenary of the First World War approaches. Our cinema critic Lisa Nesserson is here to go through all this with us, so let's get started. Hi Lisa, great to have you with us as always.
Hello, Jake.
Fresh back from the Cannes Film Festival, I might add. You were actually part of one of the juries at Cannes. What was that like for you?
What was that like? I was a member of the Camera d'Or jury, the Golden Camera, which is awarded by a jury of 7 people to the best film by a first-time filmmaker in any section of the festival. We gave our prize to a French film called Party Girl. This was my 27th Cannes Film Festival, but I've always gone as a rank-and-file journalist previously. I have never been a royal, but I have the feeling this was a taste of what, the royal family might be treated like when they go around. But I don't think, I'm a household word because of France 24, but I don't think I'd want to be super famous and not have the option of walking down the street instead of having to take a limo, having to have bodyguards surrounding you. I wouldn't like that part of it.
You could probably get used to.
I don't mind eating in the cafeteria, but it was very, very nice to be invited to a number of formal dinners. In fact, at one of them, I got to talk to Uma Thurman, who was there with Quentin Tarantino for the 20th anniversary of Pulp Fiction, which won the Palme d'Or 20 years ago. And Uma, who has worn jewels from all the world's most famous jewelers, told me she liked my earrings, which I got for the equivalent of about $5 at a dime store in France 20 years ago.
Well, I'm sure you had to see a number of films, those by, as you said, first-time directors. What was your pick out of the bunch then? I know which one won the prize. But out of all the films you saw at Cannes, what were some of your highlights?
Well, because of my jury responsibilities, I only got to see 8 out of the 18 films that were in competition. But one I liked very, very much was Bennett Miller's Foxcatcher, which ended up winning the Best Director prize. I'm going to say as little as possible about it because that's how I saw it, not knowing much, except that the director had also directed Capote with Philip Seymour Hoffman and Moneyball with Brad Pitt. I like both of those very much. It's based on a true story that took place in the 1980s. Steve Carell plays John DuPont, an heir to the fabulous DuPont chemical fortune. He lives on an estate, Foxcatcher. His mother likes thoroughbred racehorses, and he likes wrestling. And he decides to work with his interest in wrestling in interesting ways. I also loved Love at First Fight, which was a first French film. Very strange, interesting tone. 2 characters who meet who we know are going to fall for each other, diametrically opposed. This is something we've heard before, but the director finds absolutely new ways to do that. But I think the movie I liked best of all was a first film from a Ukrainian director, The Tribe. It won multiple awards, and it stars entirely deaf people. I'm not sure what the politically correct term is, but they can't hear, they can't speak. There are no subtitles. There is no voiceover. We are projected into their world entirely of sign language, but we understand what's going on, and what's going on is heady and hearty and incredibly involving stuff. The Tribe, amazing. See it.
Well, I have to say, I was at Cannes too. It was my first time, and compared to your 27th, but I didn't actually have much time to actually see in the films because I was reporting on other things, so those are definitely some that I'll have to check out too. Well, one of the films we got a sneak peek of at Cannes was Jean-Luc Godard's Goodbye to Language, which shared the jury prize with Xavier Dolan, the oldest and youngest directors in the competition, which I thought was quite nice, Lisa. Punters don't have to wait to see Godard's very original 3D film, though, as it's out in theatres this week in France. Let's take a look at an excerpt.
Je voyais partout des chiens. Cette matinée est un rêve. Chacun doit penser que le rêveur, c'est l'autre.
Je ne dirai presque rien. Je cherche la pauvreté dans le langage. De la pauvreté.
La violenza, la violenza, la violenza, la rivolta, chi ha esitato questa volta, voterà con noi domani.
Now, Lisa, I know this film actually picked up 2 prizes at Cannes. One of them was for the dog starring role, was the Palm Dog Award, which many people probably don't really know what that is, but it's a bit of a joke award that's presented at the festival by a British man called Toby.
It was a runner-up in that category.
Yeah, exactly. But do you think it was worthy of the jury prize as well?
Actually, I do. By most counts, Godard has presented 19 films in the festival over the years, but at age 83, this is the first time he's won an award, which he shared with Xavier Dolan, as you said. I was rather moved by it, which was one of the reasons Jane Campion said that it was her jury that they chose it. It's a short and sweet 70 minutes, and Manohla Dargis of the New York Times said it blew the roof off the 2,300-seat Palais, which you see people from the cast entering right there. The use of 3D is quite brilliant. It's literally point of view. At some points, your brain gets confused, and you realize if you close one eye, you see one image. If you close the other eye, you see another image. Incredible, bright, vivid colors. Customary wordplay. It's sold to 30 territories, including Japan, the UK, China, and Latin America. And I have to say it is one of 3 films that won prizes that has an important dialogue scene where a character is seated on a toilet. I don't know what that means. And there were also, in our section, 6 films in which characters were hit by hammers. So if you have someone who's sitting on the toilet and hit by a hammer, statistically, you may win a prize.
I have to say that I saw the Map to the Stars film, and that toilet scene with Julianne Moore was slightly off-putting. She's sitting there talking to someone while sitting on the toilet.
They say that Lyndon Johnson, when he was president of the United States, conducted his business with his staff that way. So it's something the well-to-do are do, I guess.
All right, well, that Jean-Luc Godard's film was actually only 69 minutes. And speaking of short films, this summer we'll see both the centenary of the First World War and the 70th anniversary of the liberation of Paris. And to mark the anniversaries, Franco-Algerian film director Rachid Bouchareb got together with historian Pascal Blanchard to work on a series of 50 short films. Each 2-minute clip will pay homage to a man or woman who contributed to France's war force in the 20th century, as Catherine Clifford explains.
2 minutes to tell the tale of an unknown French war hero, each time recounted by a French celebrity like former footballer Lilian Thuram.
Adiba Mamadou embodies these forgotten resistance fighters who came from the colonies, a soldier of just 1.55 meters. He fought in the Vosges region during the Second World War. At 17, he left Guinea and came to France to work as a cook. This was in 1931, the year of the Paris Colonial Exhibition.
The directors set themselves the goal of bringing 50 largely unknown people who fought for France out of oblivion.
The idea of this series is, instead of just telling the story of heroes that we all know, to invert this and look to forgotten heroes who came from Polynesia, the Caribbean, Africa, the Maghreb, and the Middle East, or from France. Forgotten heroes whose stories we don't know, most of whom weren't French when they came to fight for France, but became French through bloodshed. It's time to shed light on this shared history.
However, certain historic celebrities do pop up within the short films.
October 28, 1918, Roland Garros's plane is shot down by a German Fokker. A great French hero disappears.
These are just some initiatives among others. We're not the only ones to open up this chapter and to talk about these women and men who, in some examples, contributed to France's liberation.
The director's other goal, to compare France's acceptance of diversity back then to the modern day, taking the example of Josephine Baker, who became French in 1937. She joined the resistance during the Second World War and went on to be decorated with the Military Cross and the Legion of Honor.
I'd say the further we go with this, the more we'll open up the floodgates. And then we'll have more projects like these, whether they're for TV, cinema, writing, all sorts of things. All that can only be good for French society.
The short film series will be broadcast by France Télévisions over the next year.
Well, Bouchareb actually began addressing the subject of unsung fighters in his animated short movie about World War II called The Colonial Friend in 2005. Now, Lisa, coming up here in France is actually a festival of short animated films.
And what a festival it is. The lakeside city of Annecy hosts a festival that receives almost as many submissions as the entire Cannes Film Festival does, all of them animated. And I think it makes sense to compare animated films to animated films, having just been on a jury that had to compare very diverse things. They got 2,294 submissions from 88 countries. They will be showing 230 films. In the Cold War era, Czechoslovakia and France traded off hosting every other year. Annecy is now annual. There's a 9-film competition, and they're doing 16 programs in tribute to stop-action animation. So that's not things that are drawn either by hand with a computer. It's puppets, clay, inanimate objects that are made to come to life through animation. 2014 is the centenary of the brilliant Canadian animator Norman McLaren. 2014, also the centenary of the start of World War I. They'll have films about that. For the first time, they'll have all digital tickets, nothing on paper. That's going to be weird. There's a film market where people seek out talent from all over the world, make deals for big Hollywood-style stuff, for smaller things, for television programs. From June 9th to the 30th, My Home Festival Online, people all over the world can see a short selection of films. And if you're lucky enough to be in Paris at the Forum des Images on June 25th and 26th, you can see the winners.
All right, great. Well, it's definitely one to look forward to. Thanks very much, Lisa. We have to leave it there, but thanks as always for sharing your cinematic insights. We're going to leave you now with a teaser of what's in competition in Annecy. Don't forget you can get more film and culture news on our website. Enjoy and see you soon.